spent months planning a trip to Panama, which would be both a vacation and a service project. They were very excited to explore a new country and experience different cultures, and volunteer by teaching local children and learning Spanish. So literally, like the best human beings ever. And their trip was meant to serve as a celebration of their recent graduation and as a meaningful way to give back to communities that they visited. So Chris and Lisanne arrived in Panama on March 15th, 2014, after months of preparation, like I said. So they spent the first 2 weeks traveling around the country, visiting various sites and enjoying the local culture, and they would reach the town of Boquete, located in the Chiriquí province, on March 29th. And here they were to stay with a host family and begin their volunteer work at the local school. And a host family is just people that basically let anybody come in from foreign places that usually that are going to school or volunteering in a different place. So they were staying with this specific family. And their plan was to remain in Boquete for about a month. And before they really got into all their volunteering and everything, they really wanted to go on a hike. So on April 1st, 2014, the two women set out on a hike along the El Pianista Trail around 11 a.m., which was a very popular scenic path that often offers breathtaking views off the nearby Baru volcano. And they were just intending to explore the very scenic forest and get some photos. And prior to their hike, they had actually written a Facebook post mentioning their plans to tour the local village, and they also had brunch with two fellow Dutchmen before as well. And the hike was just intended to be a casual day trip to sightsee, but as hours passed and the women did not return, concerns would begin to mount. So on the evening of April 1st, the same day that they went on the hike, the host's family's dog, which had accompanied Chris and Lisanne on their hike, would return home without Chris and Lisanne. And this was the first sign that something had gone terribly, terribly wrong. So the host family naturally began searching the surrounding area, but were unable to find any trace of the women. And by April 2nd, after the pair missed an appointment with the local tour guide, authorities were notified, and a full-scale search was launched. And the search efforts initially involved the local authorities, police, and volunteers scouring the jungle. But as days would pass and no signs of the missing women were seen, the search was expanded. And on April 6th, the families of Chris and Lisanne arrived from the Netherlands, accompanied by Dutch detectives and search and rescue teams. So they literally had everybody that could have been looking for them was looking for them. But despite the extensive efforts, no evidence was found to indicate where the women had gone or what happened to them. And for over 2 months, the search would yield no significant leads. So it wouldn't be until June 14th, 2014, that a breakthrough occurred when a local woman would find a blue backpack along the banks of a river near the village of Alto Romero, several kilometers from the Pianista Trail. And inside the backpacks was the women's personal belongings, including Lisanne's camera, their cell phones, 2 pairs of sunglasses, a water bottle, Lisanne's passport, 2 bras, and $83 in cash. And the discovery of the backpack was both a relief and a new source of dread, as it just raised more questions than answers at this point. But the contents of the backpack provided investigators with crucial insights into what might have happened during the days after the women had disappeared. Their phones, both Lisanne's Samsung Galaxy and Chris's iPhone 4, revealed that they had tried calling emergency numbers multiple times in the days following their hike. And the first call was made only hours after they first embarked on their hike, on the afternoon of April 1st. But unfortunately, none of the 77 emergency calls made from the phones went through, which 70, that's horrifying. In what situation are you I don't know, it's just nightmare. We'll get into it more, but 77 missed calls, and it was likely due to the poor reception in the remote jungle. Only 1 call would be very briefly connected, but was cut off after only 2 seconds. And the call logs also revealed that Lisanne's phone had been switched off on April 4th, after its battery died, while Chris's phone continued to be used sporadically for about several days. And by April 6th, someone unsuccessfully tried to unlock Chris's phone multiple times. Ooh, I don't like that at all. Indicating that either Chris herself or someone else was trying to access the device, which, why would Chris not be able to unlock her own phone? I don't buy it, so I'm just like, it had to be somebody else. However, it was the photos recovered from Lisanne's camera that offered the most eerie and unsettling clues. The first set of photos, taken on the day of the hike, showed the women enjoying scenic views along the trail, and there was nothing really out of the ordinary with these images. However, a second set of photos, taken on the night of April 8th, between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m., were far more disturbing. These nighttime photos included images of Chris's belongings, random rocks and sticks with plastic bags tied around them, and most alarmingly, the back of Chris's head, with what appeared to be blood on her temple. And the purpose of these photos and their context remain unknown, leading to a multitude of theories. I'm looking at the photos again, and they're so eerie and creepy. Like, it's nightmare fuel. It's absolute nightmare fuel. So in June and August of 2014, human remains would be discovered in the same general area where the backpack had been found. First, Chris's jeans were found folded near a rock near the river. Then a boot containing a foot and a pelvic bone were also discovered, and DNA testing would later confirm that the bones belonged to Lisanne and Chris. And the state of the remains raised further questions. Lisanne's bones specifically showed signs of natural decomposition, while Chris's bones appeared to have been bleached, which, like, who it had to be somebody. Like, if you find a foot, like, it could be a bear, or it could be like a prey, an animal or something. But if the bone's bleached, like, how's that happening out there? Several theories had emerged over the years to what might explain what happened to Chris and Lisanne. And these theories can be broadly divided into two categories, either accidental or foul play. So the most commonly accepted theory is that Chris and Lisanne became lost in the dense jungle after straying from the El Pianista Trail. And as night fell, the situation would grow dire, and they may have attempted to find their way back, resulting in one or both of them suffering fatal injuries. And the photos of Chris with blood on her head suggest that she may have suffered a fall or another accident where she hit her head. And the nighttime photos could have been taken in a desperate attempt to signal for help or document the situation, which, like, I'd be the last thing I'd be doing is taking photos of shit that happened, I guess. I don't know. And then we have foul play, which of course I'm more leaning towards because I'm just, that's the way I go. So there are many that believe Chris and Lisanne were victims to foul play. The fact that their bones were scattered and were in varying states of decomposition, with some of Chris's bones appearing to be bleached, has led to some speculation that someone tampered with their remains. Additionally, some of the observers had pointed to the nighttime photos as evidence that the women were in a state of distress and trying to document their threatening situation, which is, like, I feel more plausible. So one of the theories is that the women encountered some dangerous individuals in the jungle, possibly members of a local gang or even corrupt guides, and were inevitably killed. And this theory is supported by the fact that other murders and disappearances have occurred in the Boquete region, although there hasn't been any really solid evidence to tie these cases of Chris and Lisanne to foul play. It's really just a theory. And another possible theory is that the women were held for ransom for nefarious purposes, but managed to escape in the jungle only to succumb to the elements. And some even speculate that there was a possible cover-up, either by the local authorities or other parties, to conceal the true circumstances of their deaths. Because critics point to alleged investigation errors and inconsistencies in the official reports. And the book, Still Lost in Panama, explores these aspects, presenting new evidence and witness accounts. But the case of Chris and Lisanne are still a mystery, with many questions left unanswered, and I don't know if we're ever gonna figure it out, but those photos are just haunting. I mean, I don't know what to make of them. I mean, I hope they didn't suffer too much, and my thoughts are with family and friends. Hopefully we figure it out one day what actually happened to them. But that brings us to our second story, which is about Brian Wells. So Brian Wells was a 46-year-old pizza delivery driver who had worked at Mamma Mia's Pizzeria in Erie, Pennsylvania, for over a decade. Guy is a vet. Described as quiet, introverted, and somewhat childlike, Wells lived a very simple life. He was close to his mother, had a modest lifestyle, and was known to struggle financially. Wells had no significant criminal record and was generally considered a harmless and easygoing individual by those who knew him. So on August August 28th, 2003, at 1:30 p.m., a call was made to